Hello, my name is Brooklyn Rota, and today I will be discussing the impact of community in Indigenous and educational contexts. Community is a convoluted form of social classification that aims to associate individuals with recognizable groups. While often categorized bureaucratically, this concept is determined and enforced through individual and societal notions of identity and belonging. Different cultures had different values and understandings associated with this nuanced concept. However, the notion of community is always connected with a group of people who recognize that they each possess a specific commonality. Whether this shared commodity is linguistic, cultural, geographical, or more intrinsic values such as purpose or belief, these connections instill us with a sense of value, affiliation, and responsibility. Nevertheless, these similarities should not allow us to expect homogeneity in a community, nor should we assume that our association with one particular group will limit our representation in another. Instead, we ought to understand how various connections with people from different socio-economic, cultural, and familial backgrounds affect and develop our own experiences and identity. For the strength of a community is found in the recognition of things shared and an understanding of the value and opportunity represented in diversity. Understanding the impact of community is crucial in Indigenous contexts, as it is only through collaboration that the simultaneous sharing of knowledges and subversion of deficit notions and stereotypes is able to occur. Appreciating and incorporating the unique perspectives and expertise of Indigenous peoples not only assists in destabilizing existing power constructs, but also allows the perspectives of systematically oppressed groups to be forefronted in social settings. Incorporating various community knowledges ensures that all individuals are represented fairly and increases a sense of safety, belonging, and inclusion for both minority and dominant groups in any community relationship. This concept is beautifully expressed through the artworks of the Making Two Worlds Work project. The particular piece, entitled Kinship and Family, was made through the collaborative effort of Indigenous elders and artists from the Mungabarina Aboriginal Corporation and comments on the importance of community in Indigenous livelihood. The artwork is composed of 4 symbolic elements. The center arch is the self, while the 4 outer arches represent the family. The surrounding circles signify local community services and individuals who are linked together in unity through the distinct white lines. The arrangement of this image, particularly the outer circles, reminds us that generalist services and institutions need to actively seek and encourage Indigenous input when striving to work in partnerships with the Indigenous community. The mutual support given by both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people when seeking outside involvement or harmony is essential in the creation and maintenance of strong community ties and is represented by the linked circles which enclose securely around the intrinsic family unit. These supportive relationships are a central component of community and are based on the principles of inclusivity, acceptance, and reciprocity. Reciprocity and respect bring people together and allows them to connect, but more importantly, it allows them to work through challenges and past experiences. The importance of reciprocity and relationship building within communities is likewise expressed through the inspirational efforts of the Central Australian Women's Choir. Many of you may have noticed that the choir did not perform an Indigenous song. This was, in fact, a 16th century Germanic Lutheran hymn sung in the traditional language of these Indigenous women to a German audience. This and other carols were taught to the Aboriginal people of Central Australia during the colonisation and assimilation period of Australia's history. During this time, various religious organisations attempted to convert the Indigenous community to Christianity through largely controversial institutions and missions. What sets this story apart from others of its kind is the spirit of reciprocity and community. The Indigenous women worked with the missionaries to translate their songs to the language of their people before passing them to the women from one generation to another. It wasn't until many years later, after the formal formation of the choir under the direction of Maurice Stewart, that they decided to show the German people how they had preserved both languages and cultures in a mutual celebration of history and tradition. This choir acknowledged the nature of their people's past experiences, but sought to combat lasting trauma with joy. recognizing the communal ties they had with the German people and celebrating them with a spirit of gratitude and respect. The story of these women, combined with the art form previously examined, clearly identifies how communal involvement is crucial for meaningful and effective reconciliation and education between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. It also offers an anecdotal standard for conduct that people should aim to implement in both societal and educational contexts. Community is like a symphony, or the combined voices of a choir. If you listen, you'll soon discover your own parts and the parts of those around you. Everyone plays a piece and there are melodies in each one of us. And sure, those parts are fine on their own, but if you put them all together, their differences can create something wonderful. So let's be open to meaningfully expanding our own communal ties and developing our cultural awareness. Thank you.